3 bullets, 2 choices, 1 second to decide. Tonight, a poor single mother will become the wife of a mafia boss in a single sentence. No wedding, no proposal, just a dangerous man walking into a restaurant and declaring, "Tonight, you're my wife." If she refuses, they both die. If she agrees, her life will never be the same again. This is the story of a birthday night turned into a nightmare, and about how a lie can change everything. Watch to the end, hit like, and comment the name of the city you're watching in so I know how far this story has come. Rain hit the windows of Bella Vita like bullets, each drop exploding against the glass in a rhythm that made Olivia Reed's chest tighten. 27 years old, and she still flinched at loud noises, still checked over her shoulder in empty rooms, still felt like the world was one sharp sound away from shattering. The restaurant was too quiet for how expensive it was. That kind of quiet that came from people who had enough money to whisper instead of talk. Crystal chandeliers hung from the ceiling like frozen tears, casting warm light across tables draped in white linen. Everything here cost more than Olivia made in a month. Maybe 3 months. She shouldn't have come. The tiramisu sat in front of her, untouched, a single candle melting into the cream. 27. Another year older and nothing to show for it except more debt and less hope. The waiter had sung Happy Birthday in Italian, his voice echoing through the nearly empty dining room, and Olivia had wanted to disappear into the floor. Emma was home with Mrs. Chen from 4B, probably already asleep, her small body curled around that ratty stuffed elephant she refused to let Olivia wash. 5 years old, and already she knew what it meant when Mommy came home with that look on her face. That look that said the electricity might get shut off again. That look that said maybe they'd be eating cereal for dinner 3 nights in a row. Olivia's phone buzzed. She knew what it was before she looked. Another text from the landlord. Another threat wrapped in polite words. Rent overdue. Need payment by Friday or we'll have to discuss other arrangements. Other arrangements meant eviction. Friday was 3 days away. She had $87 in her checking account. The candle on the tiramisu had burned down to nothing, wax pooling on the dessert like it was crying for her. Olivia reached out to push the plate away, and that's when the room changed. It wasn't a sound. It was something else. Something animal. The way air pressure shifts before a storm. The way prey animals know when a predator walks into the clearing. Everyone in Bella Vita turned toward the entrance. 3 black SUVs pulled up outside, sleek and aggressive, water streaming off their hoods. The kind of vehicles that didn't just cost money. They cost the kind of money that made money irrelevant. Men stepped out first, 6 of them, maybe 7. Dark suits that fit too well to hide anything. They moved like soldiers scanning the street, the windows, the roofline. One spoke into his wrist. Then the restaurant door opened. The man who walked through it didn't look real. He looked like someone had taken the concept of danger and given it a face. Tall, maybe 6'2", with dark hair swept back from a face that would have been beautiful if it wasn't so cold. Sharp jaw. Darker eyes. The kind of eyes that looked at you and calculated your net worth, your weaknesses, your last moment on earth. He wore a black suit that probably cost more than Olivia's entire wardrobe. No tie. First 2 buttons of his shirt undone. There was something wrong with the way he moved. Too smooth, too controlled. Like violence was always half a second away, just waiting for permission. Every person in the restaurant stopped eating. The man's eyes swept the room once, cataloging faces, exits, threats. Then they landed on Olivia, and stopped. She felt it like a hand closing around her throat. That gaze. Heavy. Assessing. She couldn't look away even though every instinct screamed at her to run. His expression didn't change, but something flickered behind those dark eyes. Recognition, maybe, or calculation. He walked toward her table. Not to the host stand, not to one of the empty tables in the back. Directly toward her. Olivia's fingers tightened around her fork. Her heart hammered so hard she could feel it in her teeth. Every nerve in her body screamed wrong, wrong, wrong. The man reached her table and without asking, without speaking, he pulled out the chair across from her and sat down. Up close, he was even more terrifying. A small scar cut through his left eyebrow. His knuckles were marked with old wounds. This wasn't someone who signed checks and shook hands. This was someone who broke things. "You're going to stay calm," he said. His voice was low, accent slight, Mediterranean maybe, Italian. "You're going to smile. And you're going to listen. Olivia's mouth went dry. I think you have the wrong... Olivia Marie Reed. He said her full name like he was reading it off a headstone. Born March 15th at County General. Foster care from age 3 to 18. Daughter Emma, 5 years old, father unknown on the birth certificate. Currently living at 2847 North Clark, apartment 4C. Rent 3 months overdue. Checking account balance $87.16 as of 4 p.m. today. The fork slipped from Olivia's fingers and clattered against the plate. You work at Riverside Elementary as a teacher's aide, he continued, his eyes never leaving hers. Tuesday through Friday, $7 above minimum wage. You take the bus because your car died 6 months ago and you can't afford to fix it. Emma's in kindergarten at the same school. You pick her up every day at 3:15 and stop at the corner store on Ashland where you let her pick out one piece of candy if she had a good day. Olivia couldn't breathe, couldn't think. Her vision was narrowing, black spots creeping in at the edges. This wasn't real. This was a nightmare. She was going to wake up. Tuesday, Emma picked a Snickers bar, he said. Wednesday, it was Skittles. Yesterday, you didn't stop because she threw a tantrum during circle time. Who are you? The words came out broken, barely a whisper. My name is Alessandro Castellano. He said it like she should know, like everyone should know. Most people call me Sandro. You're going to call me whatever feels natural because in about 30 seconds, someone is going to walk through that door who believes you are my wife. The world tilted. Olivia started. I need you to listen carefully. Sandro leaned forward slightly, his voice dropping even lower. In approximately 20 seconds, a man named Franco Rossi is going to enter this restaurant. He's here because he believes I have no weaknesses, no attachments, nothing he can threaten. I've spent 5 years building that reputation. Tonight, you're going to help me destroy it. I don't understand. Franco thinks I'm alone, untouchable. Dangerous men stay dangerous by staying isolated. But 3 weeks ago, someone told him they saw me at your daughter's school, twice. Then at the grocery store where you shop. Then here, tonight, at a restaurant I reserved under a false name specifically so he'd find out. Olivia's hands were shaking. Why would you... Because Franco Rossi doesn't leave loose ends. Sandro's expression didn't change, but something in his voice sharpened. And if he believes you matter to me, he'll try to use you. Which means I need him to believe you matter to me so much that touching you would be suicide. This is insane. Olivia pushed her chair back. I'm leaving. If you leave, Franco will have you followed. Sandro didn't move. He'll find out where you live, where Emma goes to school, where Mrs. Chen takes her on Wednesday afternoons to the park, and then he'll take you both. He'll call me and tell me exactly what he's going to do to your daughter unless I give him what he wants. And Olivia, what Franco Rossi wants is me dead. The black spots in Olivia's vision multiplied. So here's what's going to happen. Sandro reached across the table and took her hand. His palm was warm, calloused. The touch sent electricity up her arm. You're going to leave your hand in mine. You're going to smile like I just said something that made you fall in love with me all over again. And when Franco walks over here, you're going to play the role of devoted wife well enough that he believes killing you would start a war. And if I don't? For the first time, something almost human flickered across Sandro's face. Then we'll both die in this restaurant, and Mrs. Chen will find out about Emma's mother on the 10 o'clock news. The restaurant door opened. 3 men walked in. The one in front was shorter than Sandro, stocky, with silver hair slicked back and a face that looked like it had been carved from granite. He wore a gray suit that strained across his shoulders. Behind him, 2 younger men moved with the same predatory grace as Sandro's people outside. Franco Rossi. Olivia knew it like she knew her own heartbeat. Smile, Sandro murmured, his thumb moving gently across her knuckles. Like you love me. Like I'm the only man in the world. Olivia's face felt frozen. She tried to smile, but it came out wrong, too tight, too terrified. Breathe, Sandro said. Look at me. Only me. She forced herself to meet his eyes. Up close, they weren't just dark. They were endless. Black coffee with maybe a hint of honey at the edges. Eyes that had seen terrible things, done terrible things. Better, he said quietly. Now laugh. What? Laugh like I just told you the funniest thing you've ever heard. Olivia let out a sound that might have been a laugh if laughs could strangle you. Franco was halfway across the restaurant, his eyes locked on their table. I'm going to put my other hand on your cheek, Sandro said. When I do, lean into it. Close your eyes for just a second. Make it look like you've been waiting all day for me to touch you. I can't, You can. His hand moved to her face, fingers sliding along her jaw. His palm cupped her cheek with unexpected gentleness. You're stronger than you think, Olivia. I've been watching you for 3 weeks. I've seen you work 2 jobs on 4 hours of sleep. I've seen you smile at Emma when you wanted to break down. You're a survivor, so survive this. The touch shouldn't have felt good. It should have felt like the threat it was. But Olivia's body betrayed her, leaning into that warm palm, her eyes fluttering closed for one heartbeat. When she opened them, Franco Rossi was standing at their table. Sandro. Franco's voice was gravel and broken glass. Didn't expect to see you here. Franco. Sandro didn't stand, didn't let go of Olivia. I could say the same. Heard a rumor you'd reserved a table, under a different name. Franco's smile didn't reach his eyes. Got curious. Curiosity's a dangerous habit. So is lying. Franco's gaze shifted to Olivia. And who's this? Olivia's throat closed. She couldn't speak. Couldn't move. Sandro's thumb stroked her cheek. This is my wife. The word hung in the air like a bomb. Your wife, Franco repeated. The smile vanished. You don't have a wife, Sandro. I do now. Funny how no one's heard about this. Franco pulled out a chair and sat down without being invited. No wedding announcements, no society pages. You expect me to believe Alessandro Castellano got married in secret? I expect you to believe what's in front of you. Sandro's voice stayed level, but Olivia felt his hand tighten slightly on hers. A warning or reassurance. This is Olivia. We met 6 months ago. Married 3 weeks ago in a private ceremony. I kept it quiet because men in our line of work don't advertise their weaknesses. Franco studied Olivia like she was a card he was trying to read. She doesn't look like your type. My type? You like them polished. Society women? Trophy wives who know how to keep their mouths shut. Franco gestured at Olivia. This one looks like she shops at Target. Olivia felt the insult land, but Sandro's expression didn't change. She's a teacher, Sandro said. Works with children. Has a daughter from a previous relationship. Emma, 5 years old. Franco's eyebrows rose. You married a woman with a kid? I did. Why? For the first time, Sandro smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. It was the kind of smile sharks probably made right before they bit. Because I fell in love with her. Is that so hard to believe? From you? Yes. Then believe this. Sandro's voice dropped to something that made the hair on Olivia's arms stand up. She's mine. Emma's mine. Anyone who touches them answers to me, personally. The temperature in the restaurant seemed to drop 10 degrees. Franco's smile came back, but it was different now, colder. Good to know. I'm glad we understand each other. Oh, we do. Franco stood, his chair scraping across the floor. Congratulations on the marriage, Sandro. I hope it lasts. He walked away, his men following like shadows. Olivia watched them leave, watched them get into a black Mercedes outside, watched the car pull away into the rain. She didn't realize she was shaking until Sandro let go of her hand. What the hell was that? Her voice came out too loud, too sharp. What did you just do to me? I kept you alive. By telling a mobster I'm your wife? By making you too dangerous to kill. Sandro pulled his phone out, typed something. Franco won't touch you now, not without risking everything. You're insane. Olivia shoved back from the table, her chair hitting the floor. I'm not your wife. I'm not part of whatever sick game this is. I'm leaving. She made it 3 steps before Sandro's voice stopped her. If you walk out that door, Franco's people will follow you. They'll watch where you go, who you talk to. They'll see you get on the bus alone, go home to an apartment that doesn't match the story I just told, and tomorrow morning, you and Emma will disappear. Olivia turned. You're lying. I'm not. Sandro stood, straightening his jacket. Right now, 3 of Franco's men are sitting in a car across the street. They're waiting to see what you do. If you leave alone, if you take public transportation, if you do anything that suggests I lied, they'll know. And Franco doesn't forgive being made a fool. So what am I supposed to do? Olivia's voice cracked. Just go along with this? Pretend to be married to a criminal? For tonight, yes. Sandro gestured to one of his men by the door. Marco's going to take you home in one of my cars. You're going to pack a bag for you and Emma. Enough for a few days. Then you're coming to my house. Like hell I am. Look at me. Sandro closed the distance between them. I know you're terrified. I know this makes no sense. But I've been tracking Franco Rossi for 3 months. I know how he operates. He's going to verify everything I said tonight. Your apartment, your job, Emma's school. If anything doesn't match, he'll assume I'm using you as a pawn. And pawns are expendable. So you're using me as bait. I'm using you as armor. Sandro's jaw tightened. Franco won't risk coming after me if he believes it'll cost him a war. But that only works if you're believable. If you're real. I'm not an actress. You don't have to be. You just have to survive. He pulled out his wallet, removed a black credit card. Take this. Buy whatever you need. Food, clothes for Emma, anything. I'll have people at your apartment within the hour to get the rest of your things. Olivia stared at the card. What's the limit? There isn't one. She almost laughed. Almost. Why me? Out of everyone in Chicago, why did you pick me for this? Sandro's expression shifted. Something unreadable passed across his face. That's not a conversation for tonight. When is it a conversation? When you're safe. I'll never be safe around you. No, Sandro agreed. But you'll be alive. And right now, that's the best I can offer. Outside, one of the black SUVs pulled up to the restaurant entrance. Marco appeared at Olivia's elbow, young and professional, like this was just another Tuesday night. Mrs. Castellano, he said, the false name burning Olivia's ears. The car's ready. Olivia looked at Sandro, at this stranger who'd just blown her life apart with one sentence. If anything happens to Emma, it won't. The certainty in his voice should have been comforting. Instead, it was terrifying because it meant he'd already considered every angle, every risk, every outcome. I give you my word. The word of a criminal. The word of a man who keeps his promises. Sandro's eyes didn't blink. I'll see you in 2 hours, Olivia. Don't make me come looking for you. It wasn't a threat. It was worse than a threat. It was a certainty. Marco opened the restaurant door, rain blowing in with the cold. Olivia's feet moved without permission, carrying her toward the SUV. The leather interior smelled like money and danger. As Marco pulled away from the curb, she looked back at Bellavita. Sandro stood in the window, backlit by chandelier light, watching her leave. For one insane moment, Olivia thought about jumping out of the moving car, running, disappearing into the Chicago night with Emma and never looking back. But she'd been running her whole life. And for the first time, she wondered if maybe the most dangerous thing wasn't the man in the restaurant. Maybe it was finally stopping. The apartment building looked even more pathetic in the rain. Peeling paint, broken security door, graffiti on the mailboxes that management had stopped covering up 6 months ago. Olivia took the stairs 2 at a time, her heels clicking against concrete. Mrs. Chen opened the door before Olivia could knock, her wrinkled face tight with concern. You're back early. Thought you were having dinner. Change of plans. Olivia pushed past her into the apartment. How's Emma? Sleeping like an angel. Been out since 8. Mrs. Chen followed her into the living room. Olivia, are you all right? You look pale. I'm fine. The lie tasted like ash. Listen, something came up. Family emergency. I need to take Emma out of town for a few days. What kind of emergency? The kind I can't explain right now. Olivia was already moving toward Emma's room. Thank you for watching her. I'll make it up to you. She expected more questions, but Mrs. Chen just nodded. The old woman had lived in this building for 30 years. She knew when to ask and when to stay quiet. Emma was exactly where she should be, curled under her Elsa blanket, the ratty elephant tucked under one arm. Her face was peaceful, innocent, completely unaware that her mother had just been claimed by a stranger in an expensive suit. Olivia's chest tightened. She had $87, 3 months of unpaid rent, a daughter who deserved better than cereal for dinner. And now she belonged to Alessandro Castellano. She packed quickly, throwing clothes into a duffel bag without folding. Emma's clothes in another, toothbrushes. Emma's favorite books. The elephant, even though it was already in her arms. Olivia moved through the apartment like she was being timed because maybe she was. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. Car downstairs. 10 minutes. No signature. Didn't need one. Olivia stared at the message. This was real. This was actually happening. She could ignore it, lock the door, call the police. And tell them what? That a man said he was using her as a fake wife to scare a mobster? That she'd gone along with it? They'd think she was crazy. Maybe she was. Emma stirred as Olivia lifted her, the little girl's face pressing into her mother's neck. Mama? Shh, baby. We're going on an adventure. Where? Somewhere new. Somewhere safe. Can Elephant come? Elephant's already coming. Emma's breathing evened out again, already back asleep. Olivia carried her daughter down the stairs, past Mrs. Chen, who watched from her doorway with worried eyes, out into the rain where a black SUV waited like a hearse. Different driver this time, older, with gray at his temples. He opened the back door without speaking. The interior was warm, leather soft. Emma barely moved as Olivia buckled her in. Where are we going? Olivia asked. North, Lake Michigan. The driver pulled away from the curb. Boss's estate, about 40 minutes. Estate, not house. Estate. Olivia watched her apartment building disappear in the side mirror. Everything she owned fit in 2 duffel bags. Her entire life packed in 20 minutes. The city gave way to suburbs, suburbs to countryside. Trees lined the road, their branches black against the rain. Olivia held Emma close, feeling her daughter's heartbeat against her ribs. What had she done? What had she agreed to? The SUV turned onto a private road, smooth asphalt cutting through manicured grounds. Security lights illuminated the path every 50 feet. Cameras on posts, high walls topped with something that might have been decorative iron or might have been security measures. Then the house appeared. No, not a house. A mansion. 3 stories of stone and glass rising from the lakeshore like something out of a movie. Lights glowed in a dozen windows. The driveway curved past a fountain that probably cost more than Olivia had made in her entire life. The SUV stopped at the front entrance where Sandro waited under the portico. His jacket discarded, sleeves rolled up. Water dripped from his hair. He'd beaten them here. He opened Olivia's door himself. Welcome home, he said, and the words felt like a prison sentence. The mansion swallowed them whole. Olivia carried Emma through double doors that probably weighed more than her car used to, into an entrance hall with marble floors so polished she could see her reflection. Crystal chandeliers hung from a ceiling 2 stories up. A staircase curved along the far wall, dark wood with an iron railing that looked like it belonged in a museum. Everything here cost money. Olivia couldn't even imagine. The kind of money that made her $87 bank balance feel like a joke. Emma stirred in her arms, lifting her head. Mama, where are we? Somewhere safe, baby. It's big. Yeah, it's really big. Sandro stood just inside the entrance, water still dripping from his hair onto his expensive shirt. He looked different here. More dangerous somehow. Like the restaurant had been a costume and this was the real man underneath. Second floor, east wing, he said, gesturing to a woman who'd appeared from nowhere. Mid-50s, gray hair pulled back, wearing black pants and a white blouse like this was a hotel. Maria will show you to your rooms. Rooms plural. Olivia shifted Emma's weight. You and Emma each have your own, connected by a bathroom. Sandro's eyes flicked to Emma, something unreadable passing across his face. Unless you'd prefer to share? We're fine separate. The lie came automatically. Emma hadn't slept alone since she was 3. Maria smiled, warm and practiced. This way, Mrs. Castellano. That name again, like needles under Olivia's skin. She followed Maria up the staircase, her wet shoes squeaking against marble. Emma's head rested on her shoulder, small and warm and completely trusting. Behind them, Sandro's voice rumbled as he spoke to someone on the phone. Italian, fast and harsh. The east wing opened onto a hallway lined with paintings that probably cost more than Olivia would make in 10 years. Maria stopped at a door halfway down, pushed it open. This is yours. The room was bigger than Olivia's entire apartment. King bed with a navy comforter, sitting area with cream couches, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the lake. The bathroom visible through an open door looked like something from a magazine. Emma's room is through here. Maria crossed to another door, opened it to reveal a smaller room decorated in soft pinks and whites, a twin bed with a canopy, stuffed animals arranged on shelves, a toy chest that looked hand-carved. Emma lifted her head, eyes wide. Is this mine? For now, Olivia said. There are clothes in the closet, Maria said. Mr. Castellano had them brought in earlier. If anything doesn't fit or you need something else, just let me know. Olivia stared at her. He had clothes brought in? When? This afternoon, I believe. Before he even talked to me. Maria's smile didn't falter. Mr. Castellano is very thorough. Very thorough. That's what you called someone who planned your kidnapping down to your dress size. Thank you, Olivia managed. Maria left with a nod, closing the door behind her. The silence that followed felt heavy. Olivia set Emma down, watched her daughter walk toward the canopy bed like she was approaching something sacred. Mama, can I sleep here? That's the idea. It's like a princess bed. Yeah, baby, it is. Emma climbed onto the mattress, sinking into what was probably Egyptian cotton. Her elephant looked even more ratty against all that clean white. She yawned, eyes already closing. Olivia stood in the doorway, watching. This wasn't right. None of this was right. They should be home in their apartment with the broken heater and the neighbors who fought at 2 a.m. Not here, not in some criminal's mansion pretending to be something they weren't. But Emma looked peaceful. And when was the last time Olivia had been able to say that? She waited until Emma's breathing evened out, then pulled the door mostly closed and walked back to her own room. The duffel bags sat on the floor where she'd dropped them, everything she owned looking pathetic against all this wealth. Olivia's phone buzzed. Unknown number. Come downstairs. We need to talk. She should ignore it, lock the door, figure out how to get out of this house with Emma while everyone was sleeping. Instead, she found herself walking back down that massive staircase, following the sound of voices to a room off the main hall. Sandro's office. Dark wood, floor-to-ceiling bookshelves, a desk that looked like it had been carved from a single piece of mahogany. 3 men stood around it, all wearing suits despite the late hour. They stopped talking when Olivia appeared in the doorway. Out, Sandro said. The men left without question. The last one closed the door behind him with a soft click. Sandro poured amber liquid from a crystal decanter into 2 glasses. Sit. I'm fine standing. It wasn't a request. Olivia's jaw tightened, but she crossed to one of the leather chairs facing his desk, sat down, took the glass he offered, even though she had no intention of drinking it. Sandro leaned against his desk, studying her. You did well tonight. I did what you forced me to do. I didn't force you. I gave you a choice. That wasn't a choice. That was extortion. Call it what you want. He took a drink, the glass looking small in his hand. Franco bought it. That's what matters. For how long? Long enough. That's not an answer. No, it's not. Sandro set his glass down. Here's what happens next. Tomorrow morning, you and Emma are going to have breakfast in the dining room. Maria will help you with anything you need. After breakfast, a car will take Emma to a private school about 20 minutes from here. She'll be enrolled as Emma Castellano, kindergarten, starting immediately. Olivia's hands tightened on her glass. You're not changing her name. Her last name is already Miller on her birth certificate. One more change won't kill her. You don't get to decide that. Actually, I do. Sandro's voice stayed level, reasonable, which somehow made it worse. Franco's people are watching. They're going to verify every detail of the story I told tonight. That means Emma goes to a school appropriate for a Castellano. She wears clothes appropriate for a Castellano. She lives like she's been mine for months. She's not yours. For the next few weeks, she is. Something flickered in Sandro's eyes. Get used to it. Olivia stood, the chair scraping back. I want to go home. You are home. This isn't my home. This is a prison with expensive furniture. Then consider yourself imprisoned. Sandro straightened, his height suddenly obvious. You think I'm the villain here? Fine. Hate me. But Franco Rossi tortures people for fun. He's got a warehouse on the south side where he takes men who cross him and makes videos of what he does to them. Then he sends those videos to their families. Olivia's stomach turned. Last month, he grabbed a city councilman who refused to play along. Took the man's daughter. 19 years old, college student, never hurt anyone. Sandro's jaw tightened. They found her 3 days later in a dumpster. What was left of her? Stop. You need to understand what you're dealing with. Sandro moved closer. This isn't some game. Franco doesn't bluff. He doesn't negotiate. You either submit or you die. And if he thinks I lied to him tonight, if he thinks you're not really mine, he won't just kill you. He'll make you wish he had. Olivia's hands were shaking. The whiskey in her glass sloshed against the sides. Why me? Of everyone you could have picked, why did you choose me for this? Sandro's expression closed. That's not important. It's important to me. Drop it. No. Olivia set her glass down hard enough that liquid splashed onto the desk. You dragged me into this. You threatened my daughter. You put us both in danger. The least you can do is tell me why. For a long moment, Sandro didn't answer. He just stood there, jaw tight, eyes fixed on something over her shoulder. When he finally spoke, his voice was rough. You look like someone. Who? Someone I knew, a long time ago. That's not an answer. It's the only one you're getting tonight. Sandro moved to the window, hands in his pockets. Get some sleep. Tomorrow's going to be long. I'm not done. Yes, you are. He didn't turn around. Close the door on your way out. Olivia wanted to argue, wanted to scream. Instead, she walked out, slamming the door hard enough that it echoed through the entire first floor. She made it halfway up the stairs before the tears started. Morning came too fast. Olivia woke to sunlight pouring through windows she'd forgotten to cover, her body aching like she'd been beaten. Emma was already awake, standing at the window in her room, face pressed to the glass. Mama, there's a pool. Olivia forced herself out of bed, every muscle protesting. What? A pool. With a slide. And a little house. Emma's voice vibrated with excitement. Can we swim? Maybe later, baby. And there's a dog. A really little one. Olivia looked. Sure enough, a tiny white dog was running across the lawn, chasing something invisible. It looked like a mop with legs. A knock at the door made them both jump. Maria stood in the hallway, smiling like she hadn't just heard Olivia slam doors at midnight. Good morning. Breakfast is ready in the dining room whenever you are. And Mr. Castellano asked me to give you this. She held out a black card, the same one from last night. He said you should take Emma shopping after school today. The address of the boutique is written on the back. Olivia took the card like it might bite her. Where is he? Mr. Castellano left early this morning. Business in the city. Maria's smile stayed fixed. He'll be back this evening. Of course he left. Why would he stick around for the aftermath of the bomb he'd dropped? Olivia dressed Emma in clothes from the closet, tags still attached, everything the right size. Either Sandro was a good guesser or he'd been watching them longer than 3 weeks. The thought made her skin crawl. The dining room was exactly what Olivia expected. Long table that could seat 20, more crystal chandeliers, windows overlooking the lake, a buffet laid out with enough food to feed a small army. Emma's eyes went wide. Is this all for us? Apparently. They sat at one end of the massive table, Emma swinging her legs, Olivia trying not to calculate how much the silver serving dishes cost. A woman appeared from nowhere to pour coffee, orange juice, milk. She disappeared just as quietly. I like it here, Emma said around a mouthful of eggs. It's pretty. It's temporary. How temporary? I don't know yet. Can we stay forever? Olivia's throat tightened. Eat your breakfast, baby. The private school was worse than the house. White stone buildings surrounded by perfect lawns. Children in uniforms playing on equipment that probably required safety certifications. Teachers who smiled with teeth so white they had to be veneered. The headmistress met them at the entrance, shaking Olivia's hand like they were old friends. Mrs. Castellano, such a pleasure. Your husband called ahead. We have Emma all set up. Emma pressed against Olivia's leg, suddenly shy. She's never been to private school, Olivia said. Oh, she'll fit right in. Our kindergarten program is wonderful. The headmistress crouched to Emma's level. Do you like to read, Emma? Emma nodded. Well, we have a library with over 1,000 children's books, and an art room, and during recess you can feed the rabbits. Rabbits? Emma's eyes lit up. Just like that, her daughter was sold. Olivia watched Emma walk into the building holding a teacher's hand, her backpack almost bigger than she was. It should have felt wrong, should have felt like betrayal, putting her daughter in a school paid for by criminal money. Instead, it felt like Emma finally belonged somewhere. And that scared Olivia more than anything else so far. The boutique was in a part of Chicago Olivia had only seen from bus windows, the kind of neighborhood where parking cost more than groceries, where women walked small dogs and carried bags with designer names. Olivia walked in wearing her clearance rack jeans and immediately wanted to disappear. A woman approached, blonde and polished, her smile professional. "Mrs. Castellano." How did everyone know her name? Mr. Castellano called ahead. "He said you'd need a complete wardrobe." The woman gestured to the racks. "Let's start with daywear, shall we?" 4 hours later, Olivia left with 12 shopping bags and a number on the receipt that made her dizzy. Dresses, pants, shoes, a coat that cost more than 3 months' rent. Everything fit perfectly. Everything looked expensive. Everything felt like she was being dressed up as someone else. The SUV waiting outside wasn't Marco this time. Different driver, same quiet efficiency. He loaded the bags into the back without speaking, held the door while Olivia climbed in. "Back to the house?" he asked. Olivia almost said yes. Then she thought of that massive mansion, those perfect rooms, the weight of Sandro's black card in her purse. "No, take me to 2847 North Clark." The driver's eyes met hers in the rearview mirror. "Ma'am," Mr. Castellano said, I don't care what he said. Take me to my apartment." A pause. Then a nod. "Yes, ma'am." The building looked even worse in daylight. Olivia took the stairs 2 at a time, key already in her hand. Her apartment door swung open. The place had been cleaned out. Not robbed. Cleaned. The furniture was still there, but everything personal was gone. Photos off the walls. Emma's toys missing. The kitchen bare. Olivia stood in the middle of the living room, heart hammering. This wasn't real. This wasn't happening. Her phone buzzed. Sandro. "Looking for something?" Her hand shook as she typed back. "Where's my stuff?" Sandro. "At the house, where you should be." Olivia. "You had no right." Sandro. "I had every right. Franco's people have been watching this building since last night. If they saw you coming and going, maintaining 2 residences, the whole story falls apart." Olivia. "So you just erased my life?" Sandro. "I saved it. You're welcome." She wanted to throw her phone. Instead, she called him. He answered on the first ring. "You should be picking up Emma." "You broke into my apartment. I sent people to collect your belongings, yes." "Without asking me." "Would you have said yes?" "That's not the point." "That's exactly the point." Background noise on his end. Traffic maybe. Voices. "You want to keep pretending this is temporary? Fine. But Franco doesn't do temporary. He does permanent. And the only way we survive this is if you commit." "Commit to what? Playing house with you?" "Commit to staying alive." His voice hardened. "I'm not the bad guy here, Olivia. I'm the only thing standing between you and a man who collects fingers as trophies. So get back in the car, pick up your daughter, and stop fighting me on every single thing." The line went dead. Olivia stood in her empty apartment, surrounded by furniture that suddenly felt like props in someone else's play. The afternoon light came through windows that needed washing, illuminating dust motes and cheap carpet. This was her life. This apartment, this building, this neighborhood where gunshots weren't unusual and the corner store got robbed twice a year. And now it was gone. She walked back down the stairs, past Mrs. Chen's door that stayed closed, out to the SUV that waited like a patient predator. "Ready, ma'am?" the driver asked. No, she wasn't ready. She'd never be ready. "Take me to the school." Emma came out holding a teacher's hand, face bright with excitement. "Mama, we fed the rabbits and I read a whole book by myself and there's a girl named Sophie who has the same backpack as me." "That's wonderful, baby." Olivia buckled her into the SUV, forcing a smile that felt like broken glass. "Can we go back tomorrow?" "Yeah, we can go back tomorrow." Emma chattered the whole drive home. Home. When had Olivia started thinking of Sandro's mansion as home? It had been less than 24 hours and already the words were shifting. Sandro's car was in the driveway when they arrived. Black, expensive, parked at an angle like he'd been in a hurry. He met them at the door, still in his suit from this morning, tie loosened. His eyes went to Emma first. How was school? Emma beamed up at him. We have rabbits. I heard. He crouched to her level, this dangerous man folding himself down to meet a 5-year-old's eyes. Did you feed them? Uh-huh. They ate carrots right out of my hand. That's pretty brave. Rabbits have sharp teeth. Not these ones. They were nice. Emma hesitated, then added, Are you Mama's friend? Something crossed Sandro's face. Something like that. Do you live here too? I do. With us? Yes. Emma considered this. Okay. Then she ran inside, chasing after the little white dog that had appeared from nowhere. Sandro straightened, his eyes meeting Olivia's. The warmth he'd shown Emma vanished. We need to talk. I went to my apartment. I know. Marco followed you. Of course he did. Did you think I wouldn't have you watched? Sandro gestured her inside. Come on. Not here. She followed him to his office, anger building with every step. He closed the door, moved to the window, hands in his pockets. You can't keep doing this, Olivia said. Doing what? Making decisions for me, moving my stuff, enrolling my daughter in school, buying us clothes. I'm not some doll you can dress up and move around. You're right. He turned to face her. You're something much more valuable. What's that supposed to mean? Sandro pulled something from his desk drawer, a photograph. He held it out. Olivia took it, her hands trembling. The woman in the photo could have been her sister. Same dark hair, same sharp cheekbones, same mouth. The resemblance was so strong it made Olivia's skin crawl. Who is this? Her name was Sophia. Sandro's voice went flat, empty. My wife. She died 6 years ago. The photograph slipped from Olivia's fingers. Car accident, Sandro continued. Hit and run. They never found who did it. He picked up the photo, stared at it. She was pregnant, 7 months. We were going to name the baby Julia. Olivia couldn't breathe, couldn't think. I've spent 6 years trying to forget her face. Sandro set the photo down carefully. Then 3 weeks ago, I was at Riverside Elementary picking up my nephew from a school event, and I saw you, standing in the parking lot. For a second I thought, he stopped, started again. You're not her, I know that, but Franco doesn't know she existed. He thinks I've been alone all this time, untouchable. So you picked me because I look like your dead wife. I picked you because you were perfect for what I needed. The resemblance just made it easier to sell. Olivia's vision blurred. That's sick. That's survival. No, that's you using me to play out some twisted fantasy. It's not a fantasy. Sandro's voice rose for the first time. It's a strategy. Franco believes you matter to me. That belief keeps you alive. Would you rather I picked someone who meant nothing, someone I could watch him kill without blinking? I'd rather you left me alone. Too late for that. Olivia grabbed the photo, stared at the woman who'd died in her place 6 years too early. Sophia looked happy in the picture. Young. In love. She had no idea what was coming, just like Olivia. Did you love her? Yes. Do you still? Sandro met her eyes. Every day. The honesty shouldn't have hurt. It did anyway. I'm not her, Olivia said. I know. I'll never be her. I don't want you to be. Then what do you want from me? Sandro moved closer, not touching, but near enough that Olivia could see the exhaustion in his face, the lines around his eyes, the shadow of stubble on his jaw. He looked human suddenly. Breakable. I want you to survive this, he said quietly. I want Emma to grow up. I want Franco Rossi dead and buried where he can't hurt anyone else. And I want you to understand that I'm not the monster you think I am. You threatened my daughter. I protected your daughter. There's a difference. Not from where I'm standing. Then change where you're standing. He reached past her, pulled open a drawer, removed a thick folder. This is Franco Rossi. Every crime we can prove, every murder, every disappearance, every business he's destroyed. 300 pages of misery, and that's just what we know about. Olivia didn't touch the folder. He's coming for me, Sandro said. Has been for months. I've got resources, people, money. I can fight him. But the moment he thinks he's found a weakness, he'll exploit it. You and Emma are that weakness now, not because I want you to be, because that's the story we sold him. So fix it. Tell him you lied. Then he kills us both for making him look stupid, and he takes Emma anyway, just to make a point. Olivia's legs gave out. She sat down hard in the leather chair, head in her hands. This is insane. Yeah, it is. Sandro crouched in front of her, not touching but close. But we're in it now, both of us. And the only way out is through. How long? I don't know. Weeks. Maybe months. I can't do this for months. You'll do it for as long as it takes. His voice softened. Listen to me. I know you're scared. I know this isn't what you wanted. But I'm good at this. I've been playing these games my whole life. And I swear to you, on everything I am, I will keep you and Emma safe. Olivia looked up, vision blurred with tears she refused to shed. On everything you are? You're a criminal. Yeah, I am, but I keep my promises. A knock at the door broke the moment. Marco stuck his head in, face tight. Boss, we've got movement. Sandro stood, his entire body shifting back to that cold control. Where? South side. Franco's people are hitting our warehouse on Canal. Casualties? 3 wounded, nobody dead yet. Sandro's jaw tightened. Get everyone out. Burn it if you have to. Marco disappeared. Sandro moved to his desk, pulled open another drawer. A gun appeared in his hand, matte black and lethal. Olivia's heart stopped. Stay in the house, Sandro said, checking the weapon with practiced efficiency. Don't go outside. Don't answer the door. Marco's staying here with 4 men. Where are you going? To remind Franco why he should have left me alone. He walked past her, that gun tucked into his waistband like it belonged there. At the door he paused. Lock Emma's door from the outside. If anything happens, anything at all, there's a panic room behind the bookshelf in your bedroom. 3rd shelf, red book. Pull it, and the whole thing swings open. Then he was gone. Olivia sat in his office, surrounded by expensive wood and leather, staring at the folder of horrors he'd left on the desk. Outside, engines roared, cars peeling away, men shouting orders. Emma appeared in the doorway, the little white dog in her arms. Mama? What's happening? Nothing, baby? Olivia stood, forcing her legs to work. Come on, let's go read a story. She took Emma upstairs, locked them both in Emma's room, and sat on that princess bed while her daughter fell asleep against her shoulder. Through the window, Chicago glittered in the distance. Somewhere out there, Sandro was doing things that would probably give Olivia nightmares. And she was trapped in his mansion, pretending to be his wife, waiting for him to come back. If he came back. 3 hours passed like 3 years. Olivia sat in Emma's room, watching her daughter sleep, jumping at every sound. The house was too quiet, too still. Marco checked on them twice, his face unreadable. Any word? Olivia asked the second time. Not yet, ma'am. Is he? Mr. Castellano knows what he's doing. That wasn't an answer. Olivia's phone buzzed. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer. Then she thought maybe it was Sandro. Maybe something had happened. Hello? Olivia Reed. The voice was gravel over broken glass. Franco Rossi. Enjoying your new house? Her blood turned to ice. How did you get this number? I get every number? Franco's laugh was ugly. Nice place Sandro's got. Big. Isolated. Easy to make people disappear out there. What do you want? Just checking in on my friend's new wife, making sure you're real. I'm real. Are you? A pause. Funny thing. I've been asking around. Nobody seems to remember Sandro having a girlfriend. Nobody saw him at any society events with a pretty little thing on his arm. Nobody's heard anything about a wedding. Olivia's hands shook. It was private. Everything with Sandro is private. That's what makes him smart. Another pause. Or maybe it's what makes him a liar. I don't know what you want me to say. I want you to tell me the truth. Are you really his wife? Or are you just some waitress he grabbed off the street to make me think he's got something to lose? I'm his wife. Prove it. How? Come have coffee with me. Tomorrow. Just you and me. We'll talk. Woman to woman. No. No? Franco's voice hardened. That's not very friendly. Sandro wouldn't want. I don't care what Sandro wants. I care what I want. and I want to look you in the eye and see if you're lying. A beat. Unless you'd rather I verify things another way, maybe by visiting that pretty little girl's school. What was her name? Emma? Olivia's vision tunneled. Don't you dare! Tomorrow, 2 p.m., the cafe on Randolph, corner of State. Come alone. Wear something nice. And Olivia? His voice dropped. If you tell Sandro about this call, if you bring anyone with you, if I even think you're playing games, well, kindergartners are so small, so fragile, so easy to hurt. The line went dead. Olivia sat frozen, phone in her hand, Emma sleeping peacefully beside her. She should tell Sandro, should call him right now, should let him handle this. But Franco had threatened Emma. And suddenly Olivia realized the truth that had been hiding under everything else. She wasn't afraid of Sandro. She was afraid that choosing him meant Emma would die anyway. The door to Emma's room opened. Olivia jumped, reaching for something, anything to use as a weapon. Sandro stepped in, blood on his shirt, a cut above his left eye still bleeding. Their eyes met across the darkened room, and Olivia had exactly 3 seconds to decide. Tell him about Franco's call and risk Emma becoming collateral damage in whatever war they were fighting. Or keep quiet, meet Franco alone tomorrow, and pray she was strong enough to convince a killer she was telling the truth. Outside, thunder rumbled. The storm was just beginning. Olivia made her decision in the space between heartbeats. You're bleeding, she said. Sandro touched his forehead, looked at his fingers like he'd forgotten he could bleed. It's nothing. Doesn't look like nothing. I've had worse. He moved further into the room, his eyes finding Emma asleep on the bed. Something in his face softened. She okay? She's fine. Scared. She heard the cars leaving. What did you tell her? That you had to go help a friend. The lie came easier than it should have. Olivia stood, putting herself between Sandro and her daughter. What happened? Franco made a point. I made one back. He turned away from Emma, walked to the window. It's handled. Handled how? You don't want to know. Yes, I do. Sandro's jaw tightened. Blood dripped from the cut above his eye onto his collar. 3 of his men are in the hospital, 2 of mine. Franco's warehouse on Canal is burning. He's going to retaliate, probably within 48 hours. So this just keeps escalating. Until one of us is dead, yeah. Olivia's phone felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds in her pocket. Franco's threat echoed in her skull. Come alone or the girl pays. She should tell Sandro. Right now. Should hand him the phone and let him deal with it. But what if telling him made it worse? What if Franco found out and came after Emma anyway? What if this whole thing spiraled further out of control and her daughter ended up as collateral damage in a war Olivia never asked to join? You should get that cut looked at, she said instead. It'll keep. It's still bleeding. Olivia. Sandro turned, his eyes meeting hers across the dim room. I'm fine. He wasn't fine. Nothing about this was fine. But Olivia nodded anyway, wrapped her arms around herself. Emma and I are going to sleep in here tonight. Both of you? She's scared. Fair enough. He moved toward the door, paused with his hand on the frame. Lock it behind me. I was planning to. Something almost like a smile crossed his face. Then he was gone. Olivia locked the door, checked it twice, then climbed into bed next to Emma. Her daughter shifted, pressing closer, and Olivia held her tight enough to hurt. Tomorrow, at 2 p.m., she would meet Franco Rossi alone, and she had no idea if she'd survive it. Morning came wrapped in fog. Olivia woke to Emma's face inches from hers, small hands patting her cheeks. Mama, I'm hungry. Okay, baby. Every muscle in Olivia's body ached like she'd been running all night. Maybe she had been, in her dreams. Let's get breakfast. The house felt different in daylight, quieter somehow despite the activity. Men in suits moved through hallways, talking in low voices. Marco stood at the bottom of the stairs, phone pressed to his ear, looking exhausted. Maria appeared with that same professional smile. Good morning. Breakfast is ready. The dining room table was set for 3. Olivia's stomach dropped. 3? Mr. Castellano wanted to eat with you and Emma this morning. Maria poured orange juice into crystal glasses. He'll be down in a moment. This was wrong. Everything about this felt like a trap tightening. But Emma was already climbing into a chair, reaching for the French toast, and Olivia couldn't figure out how to say no without raising questions. Sandro appeared 5 minutes later, showered and dressed in a fresh suit. The cut above his eye had been cleaned, closed with butterfly bandages. He looked almost normal, except for the shadows under his eyes that suggested he hadn't slept at all. "Morning," he said, sitting across from them. Emma beamed at him. "You got hurt." "Just a scratch." "Mama says scratches need Band-Aids." "Your mama's very smart." Sandro's eyes flicked to Olivia. "Sleep okay?" "Fine." Another lie. They were piling up. "Good." He accepted coffee from Maria, took a drink. "I need to go back into the city today. More meetings. I'll be gone most of the afternoon." Olivia's heart rate spiked. That gave her an opening. "What time?" "Leaving around noon. Won't be back until evening." His gaze sharpened. "Why?" "Just curious." She forced herself to eat eggs that tasted like cardboard. "Emma has school." "Marco will take her." "I want to take her." "Not today." "Why not?" "Because I said so." Sandro's voice stayed level, but steel ran underneath. "Marco takes her. You stay here." Emma looked between them, fork frozen halfway to her mouth. The tension was thick enough to choke on. "Actually," Olivia said carefully, "I need to go into the city too. I have some errands." "What errands?" "Personal ones." "Be specific." "I need to pick up some things from my old apartment, things your people missed." It was a good lie. Believable. But Sandro's eyes narrowed. "Make a list. Someone will get them." "I'd rather do it myself." "That's not how this works." "How what works?" Olivia set her fork down. "My imprisonment?" "Your protection." "Sounds the same from here." Sandro's jaw tightened. He glanced at Emma, who was watching them with worried eyes, then back to Olivia. "We'll discuss this later." "There's nothing to discuss. I'm going into the city today." "No, you're not. You can't stop me." "Yes, I can." He stood, tossed his napkin on the table. "Emma, finish your breakfast. Your mom and I need to talk." He walked out. Olivia had no choice but to follow, anger and fear twisting together in her chest. She caught up with him in the hallway outside his office. "You don't own me," she hissed. "I'm trying to keep you alive." "By keeping me prisoner?" "By keeping you away from Franco's people who are watching this house right now." Sandro pulled her into his office, closed the door. "You think I'm being controlling? Fine. But there are 3 cars parked within a mile of this property. 2 on the main road, 1 in the woods to the east. All of them are Franco's. They're documenting everyone who comes and goes." Olivia's blood ran cold. "You're lying." "I'm not." He pulled out his phone, swiped through photos. Security footage. Grainy images of cars, license plates, men with cameras. "This is what we're dealing with. This is why you can't just go into the city for errands." The photos proved nothing about Franco's call. Maybe even made it worse. If his people were already watching, if they saw her leave alone, if they followed her. "I still need to go," Olivia said. "Why?" Sandro moved closer. "What's so important that you're willing to risk being followed?" "I told you. Personal items." "Bullshit." His eyes searched her face. "What's going on?" "Nothing." "You're a terrible liar." "I'm not lying." "Olivia." He said her name like a warning. "Whatever you're planning, don't." Her throat tightened. For one insane second, she almost told him everything. Almost pulled out her phone and showed him Franco's call. Almost let him handle it. Then she thought of Emma. 5 years old, innocent, sleeping peacefully in a princess bed while killers circled the house. "I'm not planning anything," she said. "I just need some space. From you, from this house, from all of it." Sandro stared at her for a long moment. Then he nodded, slow and deliberate. "Fine. You want space? Take it. But you're taking Marco and 2 other men with you. That defeats the purpose. That's the deal. Take it or stay here." Olivia wanted to scream. Instead, she forced out, "Fine." "Good." Sandro moved to his desk, started shuffling papers like the conversation was over. "Be back by 5. Emma gets anxious if you're gone too long." Olivia turned to leave. "And Olivia?" His voice stopped her at the door. If you're lying to me, if you're meeting someone or doing something stupid, I will find out. And it won't be pretty. She walked out without answering. The morning crawled by like broken glass. Olivia played with Emma, read her stories, tried to act normal while her mind raced through every possible scenario. Franco wanted to meet at 2. Sandro was leaving at noon. That gave her a 2-hour window. She could lose Marco. Maybe. If she was smart about it. If she was lucky. Or she could get everyone killed. At 11:30, Sandro left. Olivia watched from the window as his car pulled away, flanked by 2 SUVs. Part of her wanted to run after him, to stop him, to tell him everything. The other part remembered Franco's voice. Kindergartners are so fragile. At noon, she told Maria she was ready to go into the city. Marco appeared with 2 other men, both young and lethal-looking. Where to? My old apartment, North Clark. The drive took 40 minutes. Olivia spent the entire time working out her plan. It was terrible. It would probably fail. But it was all she had. They parked outside her building. Marco opened her door. How long do you need? 20 minutes. We'll wait here. Olivia climbed the stairs to her apartment, unlocked the door to that empty space. She stood there for exactly 90 seconds, long enough to be believable, then pulled out her phone. She'd researched the cafe on Randolph earlier. It was 12 blocks away, too far to walk in the time she had. But there was a bus stop 3 blocks south. If she could get to the bus stop without Marco noticing, she might make it. The bathroom window opened onto the fire escape. Olivia climbed through, her heart trying to punch through her ribs. The metal stairs were rusted, creaking under her weight. She took them as fast as she dared, dropped the last 6 feet to the alley below. Her ankle screamed. She ignored it, ran. 3 blocks had never felt so long. Every person she passed looked like a threat. Every car could be Franco's. Every shadow hid a gun. The bus came at 1:40. Olivia climbed on, sat in the back, watched the city blur past. Her phone buzzed. Marco. Where are you? She turned it off. The cafe on Randolph was exactly what Olivia expected. Upscale. Glass walls. People who looked like they'd never worried about rent in their lives. She walked in at 1:58. Her clothes wrong, her hair wrong. Everything about her screaming that she didn't belong. Franco sat at a corner table, coffee in front of him. 2 men flanked the entrance. Another stood by the bathroom, all of them watching. Franco smiled when he saw her. Olivia, right on time. She crossed to his table on legs that barely worked. Sat down. I'm here. You are. He gestured to the empty seat. Coffee? No. Not a coffee person? Tea then. Maria, bring the lady some tea. A waitress appeared, disappeared. The whole cafe felt staged. Wrong. Franco studied her like she was a specimen. You came alone. You told me to. I did. I wasn't sure you would. He leaned back. That took guts, or stupidity. Haven't decided which yet. What do you want? Same thing I wanted yesterday. The truth. He sipped his coffee. Are you really Sandro's wife? Yes. How'd you meet? At a school event, 6 months ago. What kind of event? Career day. He was there with his nephew. Sandro doesn't have a nephew. Olivia's stomach dropped. Yes, he does. Carlo. His sister's son. His sister's been dead for 3 years, killed in a car bombing. Franco's smile widened. Try again. The walls were closing in. I meant his cousin's son. Better, but still wrong. Franco set his cup down. You're a good liar. I'll give you that. Better than most. But you've got tells. What tells? Your left hand. When you lie, you touch your ring finger, like you're checking for something that's not there. He gestured. See? You just did it again. Olivia forced her hands into her lap. I'm not lying. Sure you are. Question is why. Franco leaned forward. Did Sandro pay you? Threaten you? What's he got on you that made you willing to play this game? Nothing. I love him. You love him. Franco's laugh was ugly. You don't even know him. Alessandro Castellano isn't someone you love. He's someone you survive. You're wrong. Am I? Franco pulled out his phone, slid it across the table. This was taken yesterday. Your apartment building. That's you walking out with 3 of Sandro's men. But here's what's interesting. He swiped to another photo. Emma, coming out of her school, holding a teacher's hand. Olivia's vision tunneled. Pretty little girl, Franco said. Looks just like you. Same eyes, same smile. He swiped again. Another photo. Emma climbing into the SUV. I did some checking. Birth certificate lists the father as unknown. But I've got people who are good at finding things. DNA databases, ancestry sites. You'd be surprised what information is out there. Don't, Olivia's voice broke. Please. Her father's name is Jason Miller. Works for me, actually. Low-level guy. Runner. He didn't even know he had a kid until I told him yesterday. Franco's eyes glittered. Funny thing about Jason, he's not a good father. Never wanted to be. But when I explained how valuable his daughter might be, how useful she could be as leverage, he became real interested. The cafe spun. Olivia gripped the table. You're lying. I'm not. Jason's outside right now, in that black sedan. Want to meet him? No. No? Franco tilted his head. Don't you want to reunite Emma with her daddy? He's not her father. He left before she was born. Biology says different. Franco stood. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to tell me the truth about you and Sandro, all of it. And if I believe you, if I think maybe there's something real there, I'll leave Emma alone. But if I think you're still lying, he didn't finish. Didn't need to. Olivia's hand shook so hard she had to sit on them. It's real. Prove it. How? Tell me something no one else would know. Something intimate. Something that proves you're not just some actress he hired. Olivia's mind raced. She knew nothing about Sandro. Nothing real. He'd told her about Sophia, but that wasn't intimate. That was shared trauma. He told her about Franco, but that was strategy. He'd never told her anything personal, anything that could prove... Wait, the photo. He keeps a photograph in his desk, Olivia said. His wife, Sophia. She died 6 years ago in a car accident. She was pregnant. Franco's expression didn't change. Everyone knows about Sophia. He talks to her photograph when he thinks no one's listening, at night, in his office. The lie built itself. He tells her about his day, asks her what he should do. He still wears his wedding ring on a chain around his neck. That last part was pure invention, but Franco's eyes narrowed. A chain, silver, hidden under his shirt. He never takes it off. I've never seen it. You've never looked. Olivia leaned forward, desperate. He loves her. Still, so much it's killing him. And yeah, maybe I look like her. Maybe that's why he noticed me. But what we have is real. For a long moment, Franco just stared. Then he pulled out his phone, made a call. Vincent, the Castellano file. Is there anything about Sophia's wedding ring? A pause. Yeah, I know she was buried with it. I'm asking if Sandro kept anything. Another pause. Check again. He hung up, looked at Olivia. We'll see. The tea the waitress had brought had gone cold. Olivia wrapped her hands around the cup anyway, needing something to hold on to. Franco's phone rang. He answered, listened, his face unreadable. Then he hung up and smiled. Interesting. My guy says there was a report from the funeral home. 2 rings were buried with Sophia, her wedding ring and engagement ring. But Sandro had a 3rd ring, a simple band he'd bought before the fancy engagement ring, the one he proposed with the first time. Olivia's heart hammered. She'd just guessed. Pure luck. So maybe you're telling the truth, Franco continued. Or maybe you're just very good at research. He stood. Either way, this has been enlightening. Are we done? For now. He dropped cash on the table. But Olivia, if I find out you lied to me, if I find out Sandro's playing games, Emma's going to have a very unpleasant reunion with her biological father. And I promise you, Jason Miller is not Father of the Year material. He walked out. Olivia sat frozen, her entire body trembling. She'd passed. Maybe. Or she'd just made everything infinitely worse. Her phone buzzed. She'd forgotten she'd turned it off. 23 missed calls from Marco. 17 from Sandro. 12 text messages ranging from concerned to furious. The most recent one made her blood freeze. Sandro. I know where you are. Stay there. She looked up. Through the glass wall of the cafe, A black SUV pulled up to the curb. Sandro got out. His face was a mask of cold fury. He walked into the cafe, past the other customers, straight to Olivia's table. Didn't say a word, just grabbed her arm and pulled her to her feet. "Let go," she hissed. "Not a chance." He dragged her toward the door. "You're hurting me." "You're lucky that's all I'm doing." He shoved her into the SUV, climbed in after her. The doors locked with a sound like a coffin closing. "Drive," Sandro told Marco. The SUV pulled away. Silence filled the interior like poison gas. "How did you find me?" Olivia finally asked. "You turned off your phone." Sandro's voice was ice. "That was stupid. We track all devices in the house. You track everything." "Yes." He turned to face her, his eyes black with rage. "What the hell were you thinking?" "I was thinking I needed to handle something." "Handle what?" Olivia's mouth opened, closed. She couldn't tell him. If she told him about Franco's call, about the threat, about Jason Miller, it would confirm that Franco had gotten to her, that the whole wife story was falling apart. "Nothing," she said. "I needed space." "Space?" Sandro laughed, bitter and sharp. "You climbed out a bathroom window and ran away to get space. How did you—" "Marco checked the apartment when you didn't come back down. Found the window open, tracked you through security cameras. You went to the bus stop, got on the 47, got off at Randolph." His jaw tightened. "Do you have any idea how many of Franco's people are on that street? How many of them saw you walk into that cafe?" "I was careful." "You were reckless." He leaned closer. "Who were you meeting?" "No one." "You're lying." "I'm not." "Olivia." He grabbed her chin, forced her to look at him. "I know Franco called you. His phone records show a call to your number last night at 9:47 p.m. I know he threatened you. I know he told you to meet him, and I know you were stupid enough to do it." The air left Olivia's lungs. "You knew?" "I've been tracking his phone for 3 weeks. I know every call he makes." Sandro's grip tightened. "What I don't know is why you didn't tell me." "Because he threatened Emma. So did I. You didn't seem to have trouble running from that threat." "That's different." "How?" "Because you're—" Olivia stopped, swallowed. "You're trying to protect us. Franco just wants to hurt us." "You think I can't hurt you?" Sandro's voice dropped to something dangerous. "You think I'm safe?" "I think you're the lesser evil." "There's no such thing as lesser evil. There's just evil with better PR." He let go of her, turned away. "What did you tell him?" "The truth." "Which is?" "That we're married, that it's real, that you love me." The lies tasted like ash. "I sold it. He believed me." "He didn't believe shit." Sandro pulled out his phone, played a recording. Franco's voice filled the SUV. "Vincent, put a tail on the kid. I want to know everywhere she goes, everyone she talks to, and find Jason Miller. Tell him it's time to meet his daughter." Olivia's vision blurred. "No." "He doesn't believe you," Sandro said. He thinks you're lying, which means he's going to use Emma to prove it. "We have to get her." "Already done. I pulled her out of school an hour ago. She's at the house with 8 men guarding her." "That's not enough." "It's all we have." Sandro's phone rang. He answered, listened, his face going pale. "When?" A pause. "How many?" Another pause. "Get everyone back to the house. Now." He hung up. "What?" Olivia asked. "Jason Miller just tried to grab Emma from school. Before I pulled her out." Sandro's hands clenched into fists. "One of our guys stopped him, but Franco's escalating. He's not waiting to verify anything. He's moving now." The SUV accelerated. Buildings blurred past. Olivia's heart hammered so hard she thought it might crack her ribs. "What do we do?" "We go to war." Sandro pulled a gun from under his seat, checked it. "Franco wants proof you're mine. I'll give him proof." "How?" He looked at her, something dark and final in his eyes. "We get married, for real, tonight, with witnesses, documentation, everything legal and binding." "That's insane." "That's survival." The SUV skidded around a corner. "Franco thinks you're a prop, a lie. But if you're legally married to me, if your name is on documents, if Emma is legally adopted by me, then touching her means going to war with the entire Castellano family. Not just me. All of us. And if I say no, then Emma dies. Probably within 48 hours. Sandro's voice was flat, matter of fact. Franco's already sent Jason Miller after her once. He'll send him again, and next time our guys might not stop him. Olivia couldn't breathe, couldn't think. Everything was happening too fast. There has to be another way. There isn't. I barely know you. You don't have to know me. You just have to trust me. I don't. Then trust that I'm the only thing standing between your daughter and a man who collects body parts in jars. Sandro's eyes burned. Marry me or watch her die. Those are your options. The SUV screeched to a stop outside the mansion. Men swarmed the vehicle, guns drawn. Marco opened the door. Everyone's secure, he said. Emma's in the safe room. No breaches. Sandro climbed out, then looked back at Olivia. Extended his hand. Last chance, he said. You coming? Olivia looked at his hand, at the blood on his sleeve from the cut above his eye, at the gun tucked into his waistband, at the mansion behind him that had gone from palace to fortress overnight. She thought of Emma, 5 years old, innocent, trusting. She thought of Jason Miller, the man who'd abandoned her without a second thought, now suddenly interested because a mobster told him his daughter was valuable. She thought of Franco Rossi and his warehouse of horrors. And she thought of Sandro, who dragged her into this nightmare but also stood between her and everything worse. Olivia took his hand. Okay, she said. Let's get married. Sandro pulled her out of the SUV, into the chaos of armed men and barked orders. They walked into the mansion together, his hand tight around hers. How long do we have? She asked. For what? Until Franco realizes what we're doing. Sandro's jaw tightened. A few hours, maybe less. That's not enough time. It'll have to be. They reached his office. He pulled her inside, closed the door. The sudden silence was deafening. There's a judge who owes me a favor, Sandro said. He'll be here in 30 minutes. We need a marriage license. I've got people working on it. This is insane. Yeah. He moved to his desk, started making calls. But it's the only play we have left. Olivia sank into one of the leather chairs, her entire body shaking. This wasn't real. This couldn't be real. But Emma's face appeared in her mind. That sweet smile. Those trusting eyes. Real enough. 20 minutes later, Maria appeared with a dress. White silk, simple and elegant. For the ceremony, Olivia took it numbly. Changed in Sandro's private bathroom while he made more calls. The dress fit perfectly. Of course it did. He'd probably known her size since the first day he'd stalked her. When she walked back out, Sandro was in a fresh suit. Black. Expensive. He looked like he was going to a funeral. You look, he started. Don't. He nodded, checked his watch. Judge should be here in 5 minutes. What about Emma? She stays in the safe room until this is over. She doesn't even know what's happening. Better that way. A knock at the door. Marco. Judge is here, and boss, we've got movement on the perimeter. 3 cars, Franco's people. Sandro's expression went cold. How many? At least 6, maybe more. Can we hold them? For now, but if they rush us, they won't. Not yet. Sandro looked at Olivia. Ready? No, she wasn't ready. She'd never be ready. Yeah, she lied. They walked to the living room where a man in his 60s waited, looking nervous and official. 2 witnesses stood nearby, men in suits who Olivia had never seen before. Let's make this quick, the judge said. The ceremony took 3 minutes. Sandro's hand was warm and steady in hers. The words sounded foreign. Olivia heard herself say, I do, but it felt like someone else's voice. Then it was done. You may kiss the bride, the judge said. Sandro leaned in. His lips brushed hers, barely a touch. It should have meant nothing. Instead, it felt like sealing a contract in blood. Congratulations, the judge said, handing over documents. You're legally married. Legally married to a man she barely knew. A criminal. A killer. The husband she'd just promised to love and honor. Gunfire erupted outside. Glass shattered somewhere in the house. Men shouted. More shots. The sound of an engine revving. Sandro pushed Olivia behind him, gun already in his hand. Get her to the safe room. Marco grabbed Olivia's arm. No, she said. Emma is already there. Move. He dragged her through the mansion, up the stairs, into her bedroom. The bookshelf swung open. Behind it, a small room with concrete walls. Emma sat on a cot, clutching her elephant, eyes wide with terror. Mama! Olivia rushed to her, pulled her close. I'm here, baby. I'm here. Marco stepped in after them. The bookshelf swung closed. The lock engaged with a heavy click. And outside, the war began. The safe room smelled like concrete and fear. Olivia held Emma against her chest, feeling her daughter's heart hammer through thin ribs. The little girl's face was buried in her mother's neck, small hands fisted in the white silk wedding dress that Olivia had forgotten she was still wearing. Outside the concrete walls, gunfire cracked like fireworks. Men shouted. Something heavy crashed. More shots. The sounds were muffled, but close enough that Olivia could feel them in her bones. Marco stood by the door, gun drawn, jaw tight. His radio crackled. East wing secure, 2 hostiles down. South entrance holding, need backup on the west side. Where's the boss? Ground floor, he's... Static drowned the rest. Marco's finger pressed against his earpiece. Repeat. Where is Sandro? More static. Then a voice, strained and urgent. He's engaged. Franco's inside. Olivia's blood turned to ice. Franco's in the house? Quiet. Marco didn't look at her. You said we could hold them. We're trying. The lights flickered, once, twice, then died completely. Emergency lights kicked in, bathing everything in red. Emma whimpered against Olivia's neck. Mama, I'm scared. I know, baby. I know. Olivia's voice cracked. But we're safe here. This room is safe. Was it, though? These walls were concrete, but concrete could be breached. The door was steel, but steel could be cut. And somewhere beyond it, Sandro was fighting a man who tortured people for fun. The radio crackled again. West side breach. Repeat, west side breach. They're in the kitchen. The kitchen was directly below them. Marco moved to the door, pressed his ear against it. His face went pale. What? Olivia whispered. Footsteps. In the hallway. Your people? I don't know. He raised his gun. Olivia tightened her arms around Emma, turned her daughter's face away from the door. If shooting started, if bullets came through that steel, Emma shouldn't see. The footsteps stopped outside. Silence. Olivia's heart hammered so hard she could hear it in her skull. Emma's breathing hitched. Marco's finger tightened on the trigger. Then a voice, familiar, cold. Marco. It's me. Sandro. Marco exhaled, lowered the gun slightly. Password. Sophia. The password was his dead wife's name. Of course it was. Marco unlocked the door. It swung open to reveal Sandro standing in the red emergency lighting, his face streaked with blood that wasn't all his. His suit jacket was gone. His white shirt torn, a gash across his forearm still bleeding, but he was alive. His eyes found Olivia first, then Emma. Something in his face shifted. You're both okay. It wasn't a question, but Olivia nodded anyway. Sandro stepped into the safe room. Behind him, 2 of his men stood guard in the hallway. We need to move. Move where? Marco asked. Out. Franco's got 12 men in the house, maybe more outside. We're outnumbered. The safe room is a trap if they decide to wait us out. Sandro wiped blood from his forehead. They're not leaving, which means we are. Olivia stood on shaking legs. Emma clutched against her hip. How? Tunnel. Under the house. Built during Prohibition. Leads to the garage a quarter-mile away. Sandro looked at Emma, his voice softening. Can you walk, sweetheart? Emma lifted her head. Where are we going? Somewhere safer. With the rabbits? No rabbits where we're going. Sandro moved to a panel in the back wall, pressed something. The panel slid open to reveal a narrow passageway. But you'll be safe, I promise. The tunnel was worse than the safe room. Narrow. Dark except for the flashlights the men carried. The walls were old brick, crumbling in places. Water dripped somewhere ahead. The air smelled like earth and decay. Olivia carried Emma, following Sandro's back through the darkness. Marco brought up the rear with two other men. Every step echoed. Every breath felt too loud. "How long is this tunnel?" Olivia whispered. "Quarter mile. Maybe less." Sandro didn't slow down. "Stay close." Behind them, an explosion rocked the house. The tunnel shook. Dust rained from the ceiling. Emma screamed. "Keep moving," Sandro barked. They ran. Olivia's shoes weren't made for running. The white silk dress caught on rough stone. Her arms burned from Emma's weight, but she didn't stop, couldn't stop. Behind them, more sounds, shouting, footsteps in the tunnel. "They found the entrance," Marco said. "How many?" "At least 4. Sandro swore in Italian, stopped at a junction where the tunnel split. "Marco, take Olivia and Emma to the garage. Get them in the car and drive." "What about you?" "I'm buying you time." Sandro turned to Olivia. "When you get to the garage, there's a black Mercedes, keys in the visor. Drive north. Don't stop until you hit Wisconsin." "I'm not leaving you." "Yes, you are." "No." "Olivia." He grabbed her shoulders. "This is not negotiable. Emma needs you alive. She needs you safe. And the only way that happens is if you run." "They'll kill you." "Maybe." His eyes were black in the dim light. "But they won't kill you. Not tonight." He kissed her, hard, desperate, like goodbye. Then he pushed her toward Marco. "Go." Marco grabbed her arm, pulled her down the left tunnel. Behind them, Sandro and his 2 men turned toward the right, toward the sounds of pursuit. "Wait!" Olivia tried to turn back. Marco's grip tightened. He gave an order. "I don't care." "Your daughter cares." He nodded at Emma, who was crying into Olivia's neck. "Move!" The left tunnel ended at a ladder. Marco climbed first, tested the hatch above. It opened onto the garage exactly like Sandro said. 3 cars sat in the darkness. The black Mercedes in front. Marco lifted Emma up, then helped Olivia. The moment she cleared the ladder, he slammed the hatch closed, dragged a tool bench over it. "That won't hold them," Olivia said. "It'll slow them." He opened the Mercedes door. "Get in." Olivia climbed into the back seat with Emma. Marco got behind the wheel, found the keys, started the engine. The garage door began to rise. Outside, 3 SUVs blocked the driveway. "Shit!" Marco threw the car in reverse. Men poured out of the SUVs. 6, 8, more. All armed. Marco spun the wheel, the Mercedes fishtailing. Gunfire erupted. The back window exploded. Olivia threw herself over Emma, glass raining down on them. "Stay down!" Marco shouted. The Mercedes crashed through a line of hedges, bounced across the lawn, hit the perimeter wall hard enough that Olivia's teeth cracked together. The airbags deployed. The world spun. When it stopped, they were on the access road. Marco's head was bleeding, but he was conscious. He pushed the airbag down, threw the car back in drive. "You okay?" Olivia checked Emma, terrified but unhurt. "We're okay." "Hold on." He floored it. The Mercedes screamed down the access road, headlights cutting through darkness. Behind them, the SUVs gave chase. More gunfire. A bullet punched through the trunk. "They're going to catch us," Olivia said. "Not if we make it to the highway." Marco took a corner too fast. The Mercedes skidded, tires screaming. "There's a police station 2 miles north. We get there. We're safe." 2 miles. Might as well be 200. The SUVs were gaining, one pulled alongside. A man leaned out the window, gun raised. Marco swerved hard. The SUV clipped their rear bumper. The Mercedes spun. Olivia held Emma tight, the world rotating around them. They hit a ditch. The impact was brutal. Metal shrieked. The windshield spiderwebbed. Something in Olivia's shoulder tore. Emma's scream cut through everything, then silence. Olivia tasted blood, couldn't tell if it was hers. The Mercedes was on its side in the ditch. Marco wasn't moving. Blood ran down his face from a gash in his scalp. "Marco." Olivia's voice sounded distant. "Marco." He groaned, alive. Car doors slammed outside. Footsteps. Men's voices. Olivia unbuckled Emma, pulled her toward the back door. It was jammed. She kicked it. Once, twice. It gave. They crawled out into the cold night air. The ditch was steep, full of dead grass and mud. Olivia pulled Emma up the far side, her shoulder screaming. Flashlights swept the darkness behind them. Find them. Check the car. The driver's still alive. Leave him. Olivia ran. Trees ahead. If they could make it to the trees, they could hide. The white dress made her a beacon, but there was no time to change, no time to think. Just run. Emma was too heavy, too slow. Olivia's lungs burned. Her shoulder wouldn't work right. Behind them, flashlights bobbed closer. They made it 10 feet into the trees before a hand grabbed Olivia's hair. She was yanked backward, Emma torn from her arms. The little girl hit the ground, rolled. Olivia screamed. The man who held her was young, maybe 25, with a shaved head and dead eyes. He twisted her hair until she thought her scalp would tear. "Got one!" he shouted. Two more men appeared. One grabbed Emma. She kicked and bit, but he lifted her like she weighed nothing. "Mama! Let her go!" Olivia choked out. The man holding her laughed. "You're Franco's problem now." They dragged them back through the trees. The SUVs were parked on the road, engines running. Marco's Mercedes was a smoking wreck in the ditch. They threw Olivia into the back of one SUV, Emma into another. "No." Olivia tried to get out. "She stays with me." A gun barrel pressed against her temple. "Sit down." Olivia sat. The SUV door slammed. Through the tinted window, she could see Emma in the other vehicle, crying, reaching for her. Then both SUVs pulled away in opposite directions. Olivia pounded on the window. "Where are you taking her?" The driver didn't answer. "Where is she going?" Nothing. Panic clawed up Olivia's throat. They'd separated them. Why would they separate them unless... No, she couldn't think like that. Emma was valuable. Franco wanted leverage. He wouldn't hurt her. Not yet. But Jason Miller's face appeared in Olivia's mind. Emma's biological father. The man who'd abandoned her. The man Franco had recruited. What if they were taking Emma to him? The SUV drove for 20 minutes. No sirens. No help. Just dark roads and darker thoughts. Finally, they turned into an industrial area. Warehouses lined both sides. The SUV stopped outside one with boarded windows and rust stains. The door opened. Rough hands pulled Olivia out. Her legs barely worked. The white dress was torn and filthy. Her shoulder throbbed with every heartbeat. They pushed her through a side entrance into the warehouse. The interior was vast and empty, except for a few folding chairs arranged in the center under a single hanging light. The concrete floor was stained with something dark. Franco sat in one of the chairs, smoking a cigarette. "Mrs. Castellano," he smiled. "Or should I say Mrs. Reed, or is it still Miller? Hard to keep track." Olivia's hands clenched into fists. "Where's my daughter?" "Safe. For now." Franco gestured to the chair across from him. "Sit. I want to see her." "Sit first. Then we'll talk about what you want." The men behind Olivia shoved her forward. She stumbled into the chair. Franco leaned back, studying her like she was an insect. "You married him," he said. "Really married him. I've seen the documents, all legal, all binding." "Yes." "Why?" "Because I love him." Franco laughed, ugly and sharp. "You don't love him. You're terrified of him. I can see it in your eyes." "You're wrong." "Am I?" He leaned forward. "Let me tell you what I think happened. I think Sandro saw you at that school, saw the resemblance to his dead wife, decided you'd make perfect bait. He threatened you, threatened your kid, forced you to play along." "No." "Yes." Franco stubbed out his cigarette. "And tonight, when I called his bluff, when I sent men to grab the girl, he panicked, realized the lie was falling apart, so he married you for real to make it true." Olivia said nothing. "The problem," Franco continued, "is that I don't care if it's real or fake. You're still a weakness. And Sandro with weaknesses is Sandro I can kill. Then kill me. Let Emma go." "Can't do that." "Why not?" "Because Emma's the real leverage." Franco pulled out his phone, showed her a photo. Emma in a room somewhere, crying, alone. "I've got Jason Miller watching her right now, her dear old dad. And Jason's got instructions. If I don't call him in 1 hour, if anything happens to me, he's going to introduce himself to his daughter. Properly." Olivia's stomach turned. "You're a monster." "I'm practical." Franco pocketed the phone. "Here's how this ends. You call Sandro. Tell him to meet me. Alone. no backup, no weapons. He comes, he surrenders, and I let you and Emma go. He'll never surrender. Then Emma dies, and you get to live knowing you could have saved her. Franco stood. Your choice. He handed her a phone. A number was already dialed. All she had to do was press call. Olivia stared at it. Her hand shook so badly she nearly dropped it. If she called Sandro, he'd come. He'd try to save them, and Franco would kill him. If she didn't call, Jason Miller would hurt Emma. Maybe worse. There was no right choice, no way out. Just two terrible options and seconds to decide. She pressed call. The phone rang once, twice. Sandro answered. Olivia. His voice cracked something in her chest. I'm sorry. Where are you? Where are... Warehouse, south side, near the canal. The words felt like betrayal. Franco has Emma. He wants you to come alone. A pause. Then, put him on. Olivia handed the phone to Franco. Sandro? Franco's smile widened. Good to hear your voice. If you hurt them, you'll what? Kill me? You should have done that years ago. Franco walked in a slow circle. Here's the deal. You come here, unarmed, alone. You surrender to me, and I let your wife and stepdaughter go. How do I know you'll keep your word? You don't, but it's the only option you've got. Franco checked his watch. You have 30 minutes. After that, Jason Miller gets creative with the kid. He hung up, tossed the phone aside. He's coming, Olivia said. Of course he is. That's what men like Sandro do. They pretend to be smart, calculating, ruthless. But give them something to care about, and they become predictable. Franco lit another cigarette. He'll come here thinking he can negotiate, thinking he can outmaneuver me. And when he realizes he can't, when he understands there's no clever way out, he'll break. They always break. You don't know him. I know men. And I know Sandro Castellano has spent 6 years pretending to be untouchable. But you touched him. That little girl touched him. And now he's just another fool dying for something that doesn't matter. Olivia wanted to argue, wanted to tell Franco he was wrong, but the truth sat heavy in her chest. Sandro was coming. He was walking into a trap. And it was her fault. The minutes crawled by. Franco smoked. His men stood by the exits. Olivia sat in the chair, her body aching, her mind racing through scenarios that all ended the same way. Sandro would die tonight. Emma would die. Olivia would die. Unless something changed, unless she found a way to... The warehouse door opened. Sandro walked in. Alone. Unarmed as far as Olivia could see. His shirt still bloody, his face exhausted, but his eyes were clear, focused. He looked at Franco first, then at Olivia. You okay? He asked her. She nodded, couldn't speak. And Emma? Alive so far. Franco gestured to a chair. Sit. Sandro sat. Didn't argue, didn't fight. He just lowered himself into the chair like he'd already accepted what was coming. You know why I hate you? Franco said. It's not the business, not the territory. It's that you've always thought you were better than me, smarter, more civilized. You act like your hands are clean just because you wear expensive suits. My hands aren't clean, Sandro said. Never claimed they were. But you think you're different. Think you've got honor or some shit. Franco moved closer. Let me tell you what honor gets you. It gets you sitting in a chair, unarmed, about to die for a woman you barely know and a kid that isn't yours. Emma's mine now, legally. Papers don't make her yours. Blood does. And her blood says she belongs to Jason Miller. Franco pulled out his gun. Which is where she's going after I'm done with you. Sandro's jaw tightened, but he didn't move. Let them go first, please. Whatever you're going to do to me, fine. But they don't need to see it. Actually, they do. Franco pressed the gun against Sandro's temple. Your wife needs to understand what happens to men who make me look stupid. And when I'm done with you, when she's watched you bleed out on this floor, she's going to tell Emma all about it. About how her new daddy died because she wasn't worth saving. You son of a... Franco hit him with the gun. Sandro's head snapped sideways. Blood poured from a gash above his ear. Stop! Olivia screamed. Just getting started. Franco hit him again. And again. Sandro took the hits without fighting back. His face was a mask of blood. one eye already swelling shut. Olivia tried to stand. The men behind her shoved her back down. Please, she begged, please stop. Why should I? Because I'll do anything, anything you want. Just stop hurting him. Franco paused, looked at her. Anything? Yes. Tell him you lied. Tell him you never loved him. Tell him you were only pretending to save your worthless life. Olivia's throat closed. She looked at Sandro. His good eye met hers. Blood ran down his face, but he was still conscious, still aware. Do it, Franco said, or I keep hitting him until there's nothing left to recognize. Olivia's hands shook. I'm sorry. Not to me, Franco said. To him. She turned to Sandro, met his gaze. I lied. About everything. I never loved you. I was just trying to survive. Something in Sandro's expression cracked. Not surprise, not pain, something worse. Resignation, maybe. Like he'd known all along. See? Franco smiled. Even she doesn't care about you, so why die for her? Because someone should. Sandro's voice was rough but steady. Someone should care enough to die for something. Franco raised the gun again. The warehouse door exploded inward. Men in black tactical gear poured through. Federal agents, FBI, DEA. Olivia couldn't tell. They flooded the space, weapons raised, voices shouting. Drop the weapon! Hands where we can see them! Get on the ground! Franco spun, gun still in his hand. The agents fired. He went down hard, blood spreading across concrete. Olivia's ears rang from the gunfire. She couldn't process what was happening. Where had they come from? How did they know? Sandro stood, stumbled toward her, pulled her into his arms despite the blood and pain. You're okay, he said. You're safe. Emma? They've got her. She's safe too. How? I called them before I came. The moment you told me where you were. He held her tighter. Did you really think I'd come alone? Without backup? Olivia wanted to laugh or cry. Maybe both. You let him hit you. Had to wait for the feds to get in position. Had to keep him talking. Sandro pulled back, looked at her. What you said? About lying. Did you mean it? She should say yes. Should keep that wall between them. But after everything, after he'd taken beating after beating to buy time for her rescue, after he'd risked everything. No, she whispered. I didn't mean it. Something in his face shifted. Relief, maybe. Or something deeper. An agent approached. Mr. Castellano, we need statements from both of you. Later, Sandro said. Where's Emma? Safe house downtown. We can take you there now. They walked out of the warehouse together. Dawn was breaking over Chicago, painting the sky purple and gold. Police cars and federal vehicles filled the parking lot. Franco's men were in handcuffs. Paramedics swarmed. One of them tried to check Sandro's wounds. He waved them off. Emma first. The drive to the safe house took 15 minutes. Olivia's hands wouldn't stop shaking. Sandro sat beside her in the back of the federal vehicle, his fingers laced through hers. What happens now? She asked. Franco's done. With what the feds have on him, he'll die in prison. Sandro winced, touched his swollen eye. His organization will collapse. The war's over. And us? He looked at her. We're married, legally. You can walk away if you want. I'll make sure you and Emma are protected. Set you up somewhere safe. New identities if you need them. Is that what you want? What I want doesn't matter. It matters to me. Sandro's jaw tightened. I want you to stay. Both of you. Not because I need you for protection. Not because of any strategy. But because somewhere between the lies and the fear, I fell in love with you and with Emma, and the thought of losing you both. His voice cracked. I can't. Olivia's eyes burned. You used me. Yes. You threatened my daughter. Yes. You dragged us into a war. I know. He looked broken, defeated. I know what I am, what I've done. And if you want to leave, if you never want to see me again, I'll understand. But please, please don't take Emma away thinking I don't love her, because I do. I love her like she's mine. The vehicle stopped outside a nondescript building. Federal agents flanked the entrance. Inside, Emma sat in a room with a female agent, playing with coloring books. The moment she saw Olivia, she screamed and ran. "Mama!" Olivia caught her, held her so tight she was afraid she'd break her. Emma was crying. Olivia was crying. Everything hurt, but Emma was alive and safe, and... "Sandro?" Emma lifted her head, saw him standing in the doorway. His face was a wreck of bruises and blood, but she didn't seem to care. She reached for him. He crossed the room in 3 steps, wrapped his arms around both of them. And standing there in that safe house, holding her daughter, and the man who destroyed her life then saved it, Olivia realized something. She wasn't invisible anymore. She was seen, known, loved by a monster who'd become human for them. Outside, the sun rose over Chicago, and for the first time in 27 years, Olivia Reed Castellano believed in tomorrow. The federal safe house smelled like coffee and industrial cleaning solution. Olivia sat on a couch that had seen better decades, Emma asleep in her lap, while agents moved through the apartment taking statements and making calls. Dawn light filtered through bulletproof windows, painting everything in shades of exhausted gray. Sandro stood by those windows, one hand pressed against the glass. A paramedic had finally cornered him, cleaning the gash above his eye while he stared out at Chicago like he was seeing it for the first time. Or maybe the last. "Mr. Castellano." An agent approached, 50s, gray suit, tired eyes. Agent Morrison, according to his badge. "We need to talk about what comes next." Sandro didn't turn from the window. "Franco's dead. Franco's in surgery. Might not make it. But even if he does, we've got enough to put him away for life." Morrison pulled out a folder thick with papers. "The problem is what happens to his organization. Power vacuum this big, someone's going to try to fill it. Not my problem. It is if they come after you, or your family." That word, family. Sandro's shoulders tightened. "What are you suggesting?" he asked. "Witness protection, new identities, new city. We can relocate you, Mrs. Castellano, and Emma within 72 hours. Sandro finally turned. His face was a battlefield. One eye swollen shut, his lips split, blood still crusting his hairline despite the paramedic's work. "You want me to disappear?" "I want you to survive." Morrison glanced at Olivia. "All of you. For how long? A year? 5? The rest of our lives hiding in some suburb pretending to be someone else? If that's what it takes, yes." Sandro's laugh was bitter. "I spent 6 years building an empire. 6 years making myself untouchable. And now you want me to become nobody. I want you to become alive." Morrison closed the folder. "Franco's people know you're married now. They know about Emma. That information doesn't disappear just because Franco's in custody. His lieutenants will use it. They'll come after your family to weaken you, or they'll come after you to take what you built. Either way, people die." Olivia's arms tightened around Emma. The little girl stirred, murmured something about rabbits, settled back into sleep. "How long do we have to decide?" Olivia asked. Morrison checked his watch. 48 hours. After that, we can't guarantee your safety." He walked away. The apartment fell quiet except for the hum of voices in other rooms and the distant wail of sirens that never really stopped in Chicago. Sandro moved to the couch, lowered himself down with a wince. He didn't touch Olivia or Emma, just sat there, close enough to feel but far enough to maintain the wall that had started rebuilding the moment Franco went down. "You should take it," he said quietly. "Take what?" "Witness protection. New identity. You and Emma." He stared at his hands. Blood still caked under his fingernails. "I'll set you up with money. Offshore accounts they can't track. Enough that Emma can go to college. That you never have to worry about rent or electricity bills or any of the shit that kept you up at night. What about you?" "I'll figure something out." "That's not an answer. It's the only one I've got." He finally looked at her. His good eye was bloodshot, exhausted. "You were right. I used you. I put you and Emma in danger because I needed a weakness that wasn't really a weakness. A prop. A lie. It stopped being a lie." "Did it?" His voice cracked. "Because from where I'm sitting, it feels like I destroyed your life for a strategy that barely worked. Franco saw through it. Jason Miller's still out there somewhere. And now you're married to a criminal who can't even keep you safe without federal protection." Olivia shifted Emma gently to the couch cushion, stood up. Her whole body ached. The white wedding dress was ruined, torn and stained with mud and blood. She looked like she'd survived a war. Maybe she had. You want to know what I think? She moved to face him. I think you're a coward. Sandro's head snapped up. Excuse me? You heard me. You're a coward. Olivia's voice stayed low but sharp. You spent 6 years mourning a dead woman, building walls, making yourself into something untouchable. And the moment someone breaks through, the moment you feel something real, you want to run. I'm trying to protect you. You're trying to protect yourself. She crouched down, forced him to meet her eyes. From feeling, from attachment, from the possibility that maybe, just maybe, you could have something real instead of just surviving. You don't understand what you're asking. I understand perfectly. You want me to take Emma and disappear so you don't have to watch us die? So you don't have to go through losing someone again. Olivia's throat tightened. But here's the thing, Sandro. I've been invisible my whole life. Foster care, dead-end jobs, men who left without looking back. I was nobody. Nothing. And then you walked into that restaurant and for the first time someone saw me. I saw you because you looked like her. At first, maybe. But not now. She reached up, touched his bruised face gently. You took a beating for me tonight. You called the feds. You risked everything, not for Sophia, for me. Sandro's eye closed. It's not enough. It's everything. You deserve better. I deserve to choose. Olivia pulled back. And I choose this. I choose you. Broken and dangerous and absolutely terrifying. Because you're also the man who bought my daughter swimming lessons and treated her like she mattered, who married me for real when you could have just let us die, who loves us even though you're too scared to admit it. I'm not scared. You're terrified. She stood. So here's my answer. I'm not going into witness protection. I'm not disappearing. And I'm not raising Emma to believe that running is the only option when things get hard. Then what are you doing? I'm staying. She held out her hand. With my husband, if he'll have me. Sandro stared at her hand like it was a weapon. For a long moment, he didn't move. Just sat there, this dangerous man who'd killed and threatened and destroyed, looking at her like she'd offered him something he'd forgotten existed. Hope. Then he took her hand. I don't know how to do this, he said quietly. Neither do I. I'm going to mess it up. Probably. Emma deserves better. Emma deserves a father who shows up, who tries. You can be that. Olivia pulled him to his feet. We'll figure out the rest. Behind them, Emma stirred on the couch. Her eyes opened, unfocused and sleepy. She saw them standing there, hands clasped, and smiled. Are we going home? Olivia looked at Sandro. He looked at Emma. Something in his expression cracked wide open. Yeah, sweetheart, he said. We're going home. The mansion was a crime scene. Yellow tape cordoned off sections. Federal investigators documented bullet holes and bloodstains. The windows Olivia had watched Emma play beneath were shattered. The marble floors she'd walked on were scarred with boot prints and God knew what else. But it was standing. Marco met them at the entrance, his head bandaged, his arm in a sling. He was alive. That felt like a miracle. Boss? He nodded at Sandro. Mrs. Castellano. That name. It still felt foreign, but Olivia was starting to think maybe foreign wasn't the same as wrong. How bad? Sandro asked. East Wing's trashed, safe rooms compromised, but structurally, we're solid. Marco glanced at Emma, who was holding Olivia's hand, eyes wide. The pool house is untouched. I had Maria set up rooms there. Good. Sandro started to move past him, then stopped. Marco, thank you for getting them out. Marco's jaw tightened. We lost 3 guys. I know. Funerals are Friday. I'll be there. Sandro's hand found Olivia's. We'll both be there. They walked through the wreckage together. Emma was quiet, processing. Her princess bed was gone, destroyed when Franco's men breached the East Wing. The stuffed animals she'd barely had time to arrange were scattered and torn. My room, she said softly. We'll fix it, Sandro promised. Better than before. With a princess bed? With whatever you want. They settled into the pool house. It was smaller than the mansion, cozier. 2 bedrooms, a kitchen, windows that overlooked the lake. Maria had left clothes and food. The little white dog, Cosimo, appeared from somewhere and immediately attached himself to Emma. Olivia gave Emma a bath, washed the fear and exhaustion from her daughter's small body. Emma asked questions Olivia couldn't answer. Why did the bad men come? Where did they go? Was Sandro okay? Sandro's okay, Olivia said, toweling Emma's hair. He's tough. Is he my dad now? The question landed like a punch. Olivia's hand stilled. What do you mean? You married him. That makes him my dad, right? It's complicated, baby. But I can call him dad if I want? Olivia's throat closed. I think he'd like that. Emma nodded, satisfied. 5 years old and already more resilient than Olivia had ever been. They moved to the bedroom. Emma climbed into bed, Cosimo curling up beside her. Mama? Yeah, baby? I'm glad we stayed. Olivia kissed her forehead. Me too. She found Sandro in the kitchen, standing at the window with a glass of something amber. His shirt was off. The bruises across his ribs were turning purple. The gash on his forearm had been stitched. He looked like he'd gone 10 rounds with someone who played for keeps. He had. Emma asleep? He asked without turning. Out cold. Olivia moved to stand beside him. She wants to call you Dad. His hand tightened on the glass. She said that? Just now. What did you tell her? That I thought you'd like it. Sandro finally looked at her. The swelling around his eye had gone down slightly, but the bruising was spectacular. I would. Like it, I mean. Then tell her that tomorrow. I'm not good at this, being someone's father. You're already doing it. The swimming lessons, the books, the way you look at her like she matters. Olivia touched his arm gently. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be present. He set the glass down, turned to face her fully. I meant what I said earlier about loving you, both of you. I know. It scares the hell out of me. Good. That means it's real. Sandro reached up, tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. His hand lingered. I've done terrible things, Olivia. I've hurt people, killed people. There's blood on these hands that won't wash off. I know what you are. And you're still here. I'm still here, she leaned into his touch. Because I've seen what you could be. When you're with Emma. When you fought for us. You're not just a monster. You're a man trying to be better. What if I can't be? Then we fail together. She kissed him, gentle and careful around the split in his lip. But I don't think we will. The next 2 weeks passed in a blur of federal interviews and security upgrades and slow, painful healing. Franco survived surgery but remained in federal custody, facing charges that would put him away for life. His organization fractured. Some lieutenants fled, others negotiated deals. A few tried to make moves on Sandro's territory and learned very quickly why that was a mistake. Jason Miller disappeared. The feds found his apartment cleaned out, his burner phones discarded. Whether he'd run or been disappeared by Franco's surviving people, no one knew. Olivia tried not to think about him, tried not to wonder if one day he'd come back looking for Emma. But Sandro had people watching, always watching. The mansion was rebuilt slowly. Olivia worked with architects, turning the east wing from fortress to home. Emma's new room was twice the size of the old one, with built-in bookshelves and a window seat overlooking the lake. The princess bed was replaced with something more grown-up at Emma's request. She was done with princesses, she said. She wanted to be a scientist now. Sandro went to the funerals. All 3 of them. He paid for everything, spoke at each service, looked the families in the eye, and took responsibility. Some blamed him. Some didn't. All of them hurt. Olivia went with him, held his hand, showed those families that their men hadn't died for nothing. They died protecting something real. A month after the attack, Sandro made good on his promise. He systematically dismantled the last of his illegal operations. The legitimate businesses remained. The rest went dark. It cost him money and power and respect from certain circles. He didn't care. I'm done playing that game, he told Olivia one night. They were sitting on the pool house deck, watching Emma chase fireflies with Cosimo. It cost too much. No regrets? About going legit? No. He looked at Emma, something soft in his expression. About everything else? Too many to count. Olivia leaned her head on his shoulder. We're going to be okay. You sound sure. I am. How? Because we chose this. Not Franco. Not fear. Us. She laced her fingers through his. We chose each other. That has to count for something. Summer turned to falls. Emma started first grade at the private school, where she made friends and excelled at reading and told everyone who would listen that her dad was the best. Sandro attended every parent-teacher conference, looking out of place and uncomfortable but present. Olivia finished her degree, early childhood education. She started working at a nonprofit Sandro funded, helping kids from foster care. Kids like she'd been, invisible, overlooked. She saw them now. The nightmares came less frequently. Emma stopped checking locks compulsively. Olivia stopped flinching at loud noises. Sandro stopped carrying a gun everywhere. They became something like normal. One evening in October, Sandro found Olivia in the rebuilt library. She was reading, curled up in an armchair, the light from the fireplace painting her in gold. I have something for you, he said. She looked up. What? He held out a box. Small, velvet. Not a ring box because she already wore his ring. Something else. Olivia took it, opened it. Inside was a key on a silver chain. What's this? The house on the Cape. The one Sophia and I bought before she died. Sandro sat across from her. I haven't been back since the funeral. Couldn't. But I want to go now. With you and Emma. I want to show you where I came from, who I was before. You don't have to do that. I know, but I want to. He reached across, took her hand. I don't want there to be secrets between us. No more ghosts, just us figuring this out together. Olivia closed her hand around the key. When? Next month. Thanksgiving, maybe. If you're ready. I'm ready. They went to the Cape the week of Thanksgiving. The house was smaller than Olivia expected. A cottage, really, perched on a cliff overlooking the Atlantic. The inside smelled like salt air and memories. Sandro walked through it like he was visiting a grave, showed Olivia the kitchen where Sophia used to cook, the bedroom where they'd planned their future, the nursery they'd started painting before the accident. Emma explored, delighted by the beach access and the tidal pools. She didn't understand the weight of this place, the grief soaked into the walls. Maybe that was better. On their last night there, Sandro and Olivia sat on the deck watching the sun set over the ocean. Emma was inside, asleep, exhausted from a day of beachcombing. Thank you, Sandro said quietly. For what? For being patient. For not asking me to forget her. I would never ask that. Olivia took his hand. She was your first love. Emma's first mother. She's part of your story. But she's not my whole story anymore. He looked at Olivia. You are. You and Emma. You're what comes next. What does come next? I don't know. He smiled, tentative. Maybe that's okay. They flew back to Chicago the day after Thanksgiving. The city sparkled with early Christmas lights. The mansion felt like home now, warm and lived in. Emma's artwork covered the refrigerator. Olivia's books overflowed the shelves. Sandro's laughter echoed through halls that had been silent for too long. One evening in December, Olivia found Sandro in his office. He was holding the photograph of Sophia, the one he'd shown her that first night. His face was peaceful. What are you thinking? She asked. That she'd like you and Emma, both. He set the photo down gently. I used to talk to her every night, ask her what to do. But I haven't needed to lately. Why not? Because I have you. He stood, crossed to where Olivia waited. You're not her replacement. You're not her ghost. You're something new, something I didn't think I could have. What's that? A second chance. He kissed her, slow and deep and real. When they pulled apart, Olivia was crying. What's wrong? Sandro asked. Nothing. Everything. She laughed through the tears. A year ago, I was drowning in debt and invisible and alone. And now I'm married to someone who sees me, who chose me, who loves my daughter like she's his own. She is mine. I know. Olivia touched his face. And that's what I never expected, that the man who terrified me could become the man I can't imagine living without. You're stuck with me now. Good. Outside, snow started to fall. The first of the season. Emma would be thrilled. She'd want to build a snowman. Sandro would help her, getting snow down his shirt and in his hair, laughing like he'd forgotten how until recently. And Olivia would watch them from the window, this makeshift family that had been forged in violence and fear and somehow transformed into something worth keeping. She thought of the woman she'd been a year ago, sitting alone in Bella Vita, invisible, hopeless, waiting for a life that seemed like it would never change. That woman was gone. In her place was Olivia Castellano, wife, mother, survivor. Someone who'd learned that sometimes the most dangerous thing wasn't the monster in the expensive suit. Sometimes the most dangerous thing was choosing to stop running, choosing to be seen, choosing to love despite the cost. The library door opened. Emma appeared, rubbing her eyes. "Mama, can we make hot chocolate?" "Of course, baby." Olivia held out her hand. "Come on." They walked to the kitchen together. Sandro followed, his hand finding the small of Olivia's back. Emma chattered about snow angels and sledding and whether Cosimo would like the cold. And in that warm kitchen, making hot chocolate while snow fell outside, Olivia understood the truth she'd been chasing her whole life. Home wasn't a place. It was the people who saw you when you were invisible, who fought for you when you were weak, who loved you when you couldn't love yourself. Sandro had never rescued her from poverty. He'd rescued her from disappearing. And in return, she'd given a broken man something even power couldn't buy. A reason to become human again, a family worth the cost, a life worth living. The hot chocolate was ready. They carried their mugs to the living room where the Christmas tree stood half decorated. Emma wanted to finish it tonight, right now, before bed. They worked together, hanging ornaments and stringing lights. Sandro lifted Emma so she could reach the top. Olivia took photos that would fill albums and frames and eventually cover every surface of this house they'd claimed together. And when the tree was done, when Emma was finally asleep in her bed upstairs, when the house was quiet, except for the crackling fire and the wind against the windows, Sandro pulled Olivia close. "I love you," he said. Simple. True. "I love you too." She kissed him. "My husband. My home." Outside, Chicago slept under a blanket of snow. Inside, a family forged from violence and fear and impossible choices breathed together. And for the first time in both their lives, Sandro and Olivia believed in tomorrow. Not because tomorrow was safe, but because they would face it together. The broken man and the invisible woman, the survivor and the protector. The family that should never have existed but did anyway. Against all odds. Against all reason. Against everything that said love couldn't bloom in darkness. They had proven the world wrong. And that, Olivia thought, as she drifted towards sleep in Sandro's arms, was worth every terrifying moment that had brought them here. Worth the fear. Worth the pain. Worth the cost of being seen. Because sometimes the greatest victory wasn't escaping the monster. Sometimes it was teaching the monster to be human. And learning that you were strong enough to survive the transformation. Together.